guys, so I am back with another video. What's up? So you guys, I decided to cover a couple of things that I know that's been asked about. So this is a highly recommended video. A lot of people keep asking me like, how did I get to Florida? How did I survive out there? And just a couple of things that I feel like I didn't cover in my other video. So that being said, we're gonna get started on that. Okay, you guys, these are the things that you need to know before moving to Florida. And the reason why I thought it was important, because when I moved to Florida, I had no idea what to expect. You know what I'm saying? Things were really first time tries for me, and it was like a trial and error. But with this, you guys, you'll be prepared. So with that being said, let's just get started. The first question I feel like is asked of me is, how much is the cost of living in Florida? One thing I want to say is Florida is the most cheapest place that I've been to. Like, the cost of living is cheap, the food is cheap, everything is just cheap. Like, I went to Chipotle, you guys, and my food was like $7.11. Here in New York City, yeah, what I got would have cost like $10. So you could see the difference. Not only that, the cost of living out there, you could get a studio bedroom for literally $650. You could get a one bedroom for $650 if you, like, you know, catch a deal. But majority of the prices there are really cheap when it comes to the cost of living, and that makes Florida the most amazing place to live. One thing I do want to say is, before you do move to Florida, you definitely want to make sure you check out the healthcare. The healthcare system is very different from any other place. Number one, Florida is a retirement state. They have their separate rules, I feel like, and New York City has their own. In New York City, I feel like we have more support for the low income. We have support for the homeless. Out there wasn't a lot of support. And the reason why I know that is because I was looking for free clinics, and that was a hard thing to find. It was ridiculous. Like, how many people was walking around with the clap and they don't even know? Like, that was not cute at all. I was just like, That was something that I took into account because I wanted to get tested, and it was really hard for me to find a place that offered free STD testing. So when you move to Florida, these are the things that you want to take into account. Another thing that I feel like is the kind of people who live there. You want to take into account, like, depending on where you go in Florida, it will matter who lives there. So I went to Jacksonville, I went to Tampa, Florida, and we also passed through Orlando. And I could definitely tell the type of people who live in those places were like, I want to say white. I saw a lot of white people. I didn't really see a lot of black people. The only black people I've really seen is when you're heading out of Georgia into Florida, or you're heading from, when you're heading out of Georgia into Florida is what I mean. Like, you didn't really see a lot of black people, which was something that might be concerning for other people, but for me, I don't let that get to me. At the end of the day, I'm there for me, not for anybody else. So that might be something that's important to someone else. I do want to say, when I did go to Tampa, Florida, you know, it was a much upscale compared to Jacksonville. But just like the Bronx, there's nice places in the Bronx, and there's bad places in the Bronx. There's the same thing about Jacksonville, the same thing about Orlando, the same thing about Tampa. So that could give you an idea. Another thing I want to say is, a lot of the girls that I met, like, in the stores, like, I would let them know, like, they would obviously pick up on my accent and ask me, like, where am I from? And I would tell them, like, I'm from New York. And they'll be like, oh my goodness, like, I moved from New Jersey or Staten Island. And I'll be like, oh really? So how do you like it here? Like, I noticed that the people that weren't from Florida were nicer than the people that were there. The actual residents who grew up there their whole lives. Like, I don't know how to explain that any more further, but they were more friendlier, more approachable. And I just want to say, like, they would tell me, like, when I would tell them, like, I'm just moving there, you know, I want to meet people, I want to make friends, and they'll let me know, like, girl, let me tell you something, just how we connected, that's how it's gonna be. And they let me know about the kind of men there, which I kind of see for myself. They're not really the settling down type. It seems like everybody's on that same type of time, like, trying to play each other. I'm not gonna say that's everybody, but that's what I see. What else can I say? I feel like the men felt entitled to my time. Like, they will pull up curbside, like, can I get your number? And I'll be ignoring them, and they'll still persist with it, like they deserve your time. I didn't like that. So that's something that people might take into account. Like, when I move to a different place, I want to be able to start a family. I want to be able to meet someone out there, and it didn't seem like there was much potential where I was coming from, but I did meet someone. I also feel like where you live matters, because where you live determines who lives around you, and you don't want to live around people that don't accept you. You know what I'm saying? I don't really want to get into that, but you know what I'm saying. You also want to think about the kind of neighborhood you're gonna live in. I'm so sorry that it's windy, But the kind of neighborhood that you live in matters, because the reason being is, let's say you move to a neighborhood where there's not a lot of stores. You're gonna have to travel pretty far to find the stores that you want, the supermarket that you want. I remember when I first settled in Florida, I was around a supermarket, I was around Burger King, I was around Popeyes, Dwayne Reed. We had like gas stations, which would be like corner stores for us. Like, they had a lot of varieties of stores that I could walk to. Now, the place that I was staying at after, there wasn't many places like that. Like, I had to walk pretty far, and all they had was like Chipotle. They had a lot of fast food, but they didn't have the same option where I was staying at initially. So those are things that you want to take into account. Where you move matters, because you see how when you live in New York City, you can go to Southern Boulevard, you can go to 125th Street, and it's a whole strip with all the stores that you want. No. In Florida, you want to go to Rainbows, you're going to go here. You want to go to Marshall's, you're going to have to go there. You want to go to Target, you're going to have to go there. Like, everything is not in the same place, if that makes sense. Transportation, that's something to consider, because I just want to say transportation in Florida is very different, but to me it was very cheap, because I came from the city where transportation is $275, and in Florida it's $175, sweetie, and that's for adults. And then seniors get like a discount off, kids get a discount off. But one thing I want to say is, you're not getting on that transportation with no fare. You see, I could just walk on the bus here and ask for a fare. You don't even have to say nothing. You can hop the back of the bus. Not where I came from. The transportation out there is pretty decent. It's very clean. The buses run like every 45 minutes to an hour, and that kind of sucked, because it was like, if you missed that bus, you was waiting for the next one, and that would be a while. So it was just like, you had to schedule your time. And not only that, like, if you wanted, I remember I went to Marshall's. If you watch one of my videos, I will put the link in the description box down below. I went to Marshall's, and it had taken me a couple hours, like, just to get there and to come back. So, you know, that's something that you can consider. For me, I don't mind taking transportation. I don't mind traveling. Like, it gives me something to do, and it gave me something to do. So I always look forward to that. Another thing I want to say is, depending on where you live, it will depend on if you really need a car, because you don't need a car if you live in an area where, like I said, the shopping malls are near you and it's walking distance to the supermarket. You have the bus right there where you could get on and go to work, but you would just have to wake up early. You would have to get there a little earlier than usual. The groceries, sis, the supermarkets are like so cheap. I was so amazed at like how cheap it was, and the meat comes in bulks, which I love. Like, I tried to buy steak out here, and it came like for just a one-person size, and I didn't see any family size steak. So it was just like, out there they do offer big varieties of food, I guess, because, you know, people are not always going to the supermarket. Another thing I want to say about the groceries, like the grocery stores out there, the supermarkets, is you definitely have to pay for bags. You have to pay for the shopping carts. You have to put a quarter into the shopping cart, and I guess when you leave, you could get your quarter back. I didn't know that you get your quarter back. I thought that it kept your quarter, so I didn't use it. But someone let me borrow their shopping cart, and I realized that you could just take the quarter out. Another thing I want to say is, when I went to the supermarket in the beginning of the week, I realized that they don't put out new meat every day. You see how in New York City the meat is always stocked? No, the meat is literally there, and then they will not stock until all the meat is gone, is what I noticed. A lot of the groceries they have there is different. You know, they were different brands. So that's something that some people might consider. That's not something that mattered to me. The only thing that really mattered to me, and what I wish I knew before going to Florida, was just the simple fact that I understood the cost of living. I wish I understood the cost of living, because like I told you guys, out in Florida, credit matters, and credit determines how much you're gonna pay to move in. Okay, and you might be paying $650 a month, but to move in might be $1,400, because you're a first time renter. You're also your credit may not be the best, because let's say if you didn't build credit, they go based off of that. And then also your income. If you're coming from another place, you know, you're not gonna really probably have an income, because you are moving to a new place. You're gonna get a job. So sometimes I feel like if you can show that you have the money, and that you're willing to work, and that you have a savings account, they're willing to rent to you. So that was one thing that I noticed. I was not willing to pay $1,400 to move in. Like, I just felt like that was just not something I was willing to do, given that I know I could find something cheaper. But, you know, to each his own. I just wanted to let you guys know what to expect when moving to Florida, and I hope that was very informative. So with that being said, I'm gonna end this video. Peace.